Good evening, everybody. This is Darius Hassemi, your host at GBWire Unfiltered. Welcome to another great episode on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Of course, along with my co-hosts, Bill McEwen and Mike Rabasi. Bill McEwen, Vice President of all things news, information, data, and other things, forecasting too. Bill will be forecasting the future tonight for a few minutes. And then, of course, Mike Rabasi. Good evening, Mike. We have a special, thank you, Mike. We have a special guest that's returning this evening, Nick Richardson, Fresno City Council member from Northeast Fresno. That's where's Nick at? There we go. Welcome, Nick. We're going to get to Nick and some of his comments and thoughts. And Bill has a whole host of questions for Nick and Mike about what's going on with the federal budget, cuts, policies, so on and so forth. But let's kind of dive right in with the beautiful weather first, right out of the gate. There we go. In the 80s, even dipping to 70s. Beautiful fall weather. We have a beautiful fall that lasts months in Fresno. I'm sorry, at least a few weeks. But here it is. We're going to enjoy this fantastic weather for the next few days. And of course, mark your calendars. Daylight savings. When is that? Sunday, November 2nd. So and daylight savings ends at 2 a.m. Will Republicans retain control of the House in 2026? And no, it wasn't a supermajority or a majority, but majority of the respondents, I should say a plurality of the respondents, 42% said no, our country's falling apart and we need change. Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day? What should it be called? Coming up. So over 50%, over half of you said it should be really called Indigenous Peoples Day, followed by, Columbus Day. And I know that's important for some folks. Let's dive in quickly to what's happening in the Middle East. Babies in Gaza City incubators at risk as Israeli assaults intensifies, according to UNICEF. We don't have the exact count. Some of the count of the folks killed in the Gaza Strip between 50 and 200,000 folks. Hamas says they lost contact with 2 hostages as tanks thrust deeper into Gaza City, followed by United States and President Trump has got a peace plan for Gaza, proposes end to the war and return of the hostages. However, Hamas says it has not received Trump plan as Israel expands Gaza City assault. Prime Minister Netanyahu says he supports Trump's peace plan, but I think, is he going to do whatever he wants anyhow? And President Trump, this is about 4 days old now. We have a video on President Trump and what's going to happen. Will he allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Annex means basically take that territory of land in the West Bank. Let's play that video.
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
There it is. You heard it from the president. And then, of course, Tucker Carlson on his podcast has a whole section on who actually controls the United States government. We're going to leave that up there for a few minutes. Talks about actually what Prime Minister Netanyahu openly says about his control of U.S. government. It is going to be on GBY for those of you that are interested in reading that in full detail. And I'm going to put another post we had last week. This is probably, this information is probably a couple of weeks old. This is a member of the Knesset, Mr. Smotrich, Israeli finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, that says there's a business plan to turn Gaza into a real estate bonanza. The demolition phase is done, and now we need to build. It's much cheaper. That was said maybe a couple of weeks back. Interesting to see what the details of the president's peace plan are for that part of the world. We know there's over 2 million Palestinians in Gaza that are displaced, the entire property bombarded into oblivion. And the danger is you have 2 million people that are floating out there, have lost family members, dogs, cats, limbs, house, job, and they have nothing to lose now. That's a very dangerous position for folks in the Middle East to be. Okay, as U.S. military leaders prepare for Virginia meeting, agenda comes into focus. And of course, President Trump attended that today. Bill, any comments on that? I thought did you have a question on that or a comment?
Well, yeah, so President Trump did more than attendant. He delivered a rather long speech. And at the 44-minute mark, he said he wanted generals to think about turning dangerous U.S. cities into military training grounds. As Council Member Richardson's a member of the military, and I'm not going to say not to put you on the spot. I'm going to say to put you on the spot, Council Member. Do you think using American cities as training grounds for America's military is a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, gentlemen, thanks for having me on. I will tell you that the U.S. military has some of the biggest, most beautiful training grounds anywhere in the world. I mean, based on our geographical variety that we have here just in the continental United States, we've got fantastic training areas. I have done urban training before in different countries where they do use cities. It's not very popular, I'll tell you that. And it would be, I think, a misuse of some of the urban training facilities that we have to decide to repurpose that training and move it to places where folks are actively going about their daily lives. Take Fresno. We have enough going on in Fresno right now. Imagine they were to turn, I don't know what the scope would look like, how it's envisioned, but if they were trying to launch large-scale military training operations in Fresno, while we're trying to plan things out like public works projects and buses on time and things like that, I could not picture that going well.
And I will note that military members that have been sent to Washington, D.C. have been telling their friends, I mean, they're not authorized to speak publicly, but it's out there that many of them are just on beautification details. They're picking up trash, doing things.
If that's
like
the kind
that.
of training they want to focus on for the military, beautification and public works, I think they can probably find much closer, much cheaper places to do that, like around their bases in the first place.
Well, especially when you have the Secretary of Defense saying that America's military today is soft and woke and needs to become in better physical condition, needs more of a warrior ethos and the like. So that's a mixed message from this administration.
I'm always a fan of stricter physical standards in the military. I think that we can always be faster, sharper, stronger, smarter. Always a fan of that. I'm never going to say no to that. And I'm a huge fan, obviously, of a military that is capable, deadly, but professional and precise in what we do. I'm not sure how beautification projects stack up with that, Bill.
Thank you for that, Council Member. Darius?
Okay, thank you, Bill and Nick, for that. Let's move on to our next item. United States is ready to support Argentina with $20 billion in a swap line or a credit line. It's a lot of money to support a country. There's going to be a lot of other countries in the world like, hey, how about us? Can we get bailed out? 20 billion potentially going to Argentina. Defense Secretary Hegseth slams fat generals. Says U.S. officers should resign if they don't support his agenda. Pentagon gathering spotlighted sharp political rhetoric, fitness mandates, and looming scrutiny over Trump administration's unprecedented Defense Department shakeup. Trump orders deployment of troops to Portland and ICE facilities. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, the governor of Oregon spoke over the weekend. Be interesting to see how that shapes up. Any update on that from Bill?
Well, I just think, you know, when we have ICE agents shot at their own facilities, as we seen happen in Dallas, I think if he wants to deploy troops to protect ICE facilities, federal buildings, that's the president's prerogative. But this thing about patrolling the streets of Portland, there's no disorder there now. There's no chaos. This is a replay from his first administration.
Okay. U.S. government barrels towards shutdown with no funding deal in sight. That's tonight, right? Any update? Are we going to get a shutdown or avert a shutdown?
So, Darius, what I can tell you on that is there was no planned meeting. It'll shut down at 9 o'clock our time. Things got really ugly in the last 48 hours or so. President Trump put out, he tweeted out a deep fake video that was racist. It took words said by Chuck Schumer and then mangled him into saying there are no Democrats left. Totally deep fake, totally racist, going after Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrats' leader in the House. And really, how sad. That's the state of politics today in America. The leader of our country, the commander-in-chief of our armed forces, is out there knowingly tweeting fake videos and engaging in this kind of political games. To me, it's just disgusting. No wonder they can't get a deal. And again, we're in a polarized environment, so Democrats are dug in. They feel their path to victory is resisting Trump. Republicans say we have control of the House, we have control of the Senate, we have control of the White House. We should be able to dictate what's going on. And, you know, the wiser heads of 10, 12, 14 years ago, they're gone. And I recall Devin Nunes, when he criticized his own party, his own Republicans, for allowing a government shutdown. And that was shocking because then Representative Nunes was very much a dyed in the red Republican. And he said Republicans that allow a shutdown are like lemmings marching off the cliff. That has stuck with me forever. Unfortunately, hasn't stuck with the Republican side. And Democrats, like I say, they're dug in. You know, they want to get some of the Medicare, the healthcare cuts. They want the Republicans to back off of that in order for them to sign off on an agreement. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Bill, for that. By the way, one of the beautiful things about our country is its checks and balances. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, checks and balances. One branch of government checks on the other. So nobody really runs away with the full authority and power over the citizens of the United States. Now, some people go, no, we want, you know, our president to have full authority, full power. Well, that's not what our Constitution is about. Newsom to decide on renter protection tied to Social Security changes. Bill, this is one of your items. What do we got cooking there?
So basically, President, excuse me.
President wants to be president.
Yeah, Governor Newsom, it's on his desk. He hasn't signed it. Went to his desk on September 22nd. And council members Kerbasi and Richardson will want to know about this if it is signed, because what happens is the bill creates an affirmative defense for tenants who face eviction due to a temporary interruption, delay, or reduction in their social security benefits. It allows the court to issue a stay, and the evidence, the tenant has to show evidence of hardship, and the tenant has to agree to enter a repayment plan. The court can then dismiss the eviction action. I know the city of Fresno has passed laws in recent years and provided in their budget for eviction protection programs. So this would go a step, another step in this. And it's interesting to me that it's been on Newsom's desk this long. So either he's waiting for the right day to schedule the news conference when he signs it, or perhaps he's going to let it pass and say there are enough protections in place.
Okay. California among states sued by Department of Justice for failure to provide voter roll data. Bill?
So the Department of Justice's position is we're trying to clean up voter rolls. We're trying to ensure election integrity. I think it's up to 8 states now that DOJ has sued. All the states are pushing back, even those that have Republican governors or Republican Secretary of State. They say this is an invasion of privacy. They say that it's the state's duty to conduct elections, and DOJ has no business in their business. This will be in the courts for quite a while.
Thank you, Bill, for your insights on that. And then you also had some data on the latest report of registration by the Secretary of State that was released. That was late last week. Bill?
So, Darius, the share of registered voters who are Democrats is now 45.3% in the state, and that's down from 46.2 5 years ago, so about a 1% drop. The number of Republicans is now 25.2. That is about a 1% increase. We've had a 2% swing there. Republicans are gaining. What's also interesting is that the number of declined to state voters has dropped. It is dropped by about 1%, as actually 1.5%. And more Californians are registering with the small parties, Green, Libertarian, Peace and Freedom, and the like.
Thank you for that, Bill. Yeah, those numbers have been in that range, and they've kind of leveled off, no? Or the Republicans are still shrinking?
Well, it goes by percentage. So, I mean, the number,
the percent of Republicans.
The number is going to ebb and flow depending on how close we are to a presidential election. The percentage, Republicans are up 1%, Democrats are down 1%.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Fresno sues Ford over blaze that destroyed fire department truck. I think we're going to bring in Council President Kerbasi to tell us, and Nick Richardson to talk about what happened there. Why? Kind of give us the details. Mike?
It's pretty simple, Darius. We had a public safety vehicle, and this isn't the first time this has happened, and across the country. It caught fire due to a manufacturer defect, and the position Ford has is, well, if you want to get something out of it, you have to sue us first. So we said, okay, we'll sue you. We don't want to sue Ford. We just want them to make it right. But this was really our only recourse, so we're moving forward as the situation they've created.
Okay. Nick, any comments on that?
No, that was pretty succinct and accurate.
Okay. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip. There's a couple of things I'm going to skip. I'm going to cover a couple of other quick items, and then I'm going to come back to the video with Nick Richardson talking about. Well, we'll find out what he said and what the message is, and to who, or to everybody. Just quickly, let's go to slide 27. Release denied for Fresno Pismo's manager, who is in ICE detention. We covered this, over a couple of months ago. I think he was detained in late June. This was covered maybe in early September or sometime in July by GB Wire. There's an update. It unfortunately does not look like he's going to be released soon, and there's another court ruling by a judge, by an immigration judge, that will rule whether his case can be opened or not. And he obviously hopes it can be opened. And I know there's a lot of folks have sent in letters for his release, wife and kids, and one son actually. Incredible guy. Those folks that have frequented Pismo's know who Sam is. Sam Bepur, immigrant from Iran when he was 3 years old. Has been here since. He's in his late 30s. Next item is we're going to cover Fresno Unified for a minute. Why did Fresno Unified cancel its Brown Act workshop minutes after starting it? It's a great article. We're just going to post parts of the video. It's really interesting. The board calls for a workshop. A bunch of folks show up, administrators, superintendent, and then two of the trustees couldn't make it. One was ill, one was out of town. So when everybody's there, the meeting is getting ready to start. The trustees, 4-1. Trustee Levine voted no. I think the motion was by Trustee Jonathan Rosas, seconded by Trustee Keisha Thomas, and then supported by Casares and Valerie Davis. So how much did that cost? Folks show up. The minute it's supposed to start, to get canceled. I'll be pretty irritated if I was an administrator or other board member that I was going to be there for this Brown Act workshop. Comment from Fresno Teachers Association. Let's put that up. Slide 31. It's on our website.
Just to be clear, they invited FTA to actually participate. So they were invited to be there. It wasn't like they shouldn't have been there.
No, they exactly. They were invited to be there to participate in this workshop, but they showed up actually. If we can get that image up on slide 31.
While we're doing that,
yeah,
for the benefit of our audience, so they have a quorum, which means if 50% of the total membership, like the city council has 7 people, as long as we have 4 people show up, we can have a meeting. And we've done that before where there's less than 7. Someone's sick, someone can't be there, it happens. Or they're late from lunch, that happens too. But we can hold the meeting. So I'm really curious, and I read the article, what was their real reason for not doing that? I know they gave a reason, they wanted the full board there, but that's not required. You can, if they had a 5 out of 7s, they had more than quorum.
It's really that. What baffles
There's more to it.
Me too. You know, that's what baffles me too. You cancel something. If I'm an administrator, if I'm a superintendent, I got all these people to show up here at there wasn't at the regular board meeting. There was a special location, nutrition center or wherever it was. All these folks show up. How disrespectful to cancel it right before like 1 minute notice. Because 2 board members weren't there, that's a bunch of BS to me.
I feel like there's something else going on we don't know about, whether it's internal
What do you think
politics.
it is? Mike, what do you think it is?
I don't know if they're fighting with the two board members that weren't there. I don't know if maybe people were showing up and they were worried they were going to
Mike, can
say
I ask you?
something.
Can I ask you a
I
question,
don't
Mike?
know.
If you are running your council member, you host a board shop, and two of your council members don't show up,
Hmm.
and you don't like those two. Let's say, take any two that you don't like. They don't show up, and you go, I don't like these two council members, and they're not here tonight. So guess what? I'm gonna, because I don't like them, I'm gonna cancel. Will you cancel the workshop on everybody's?
I-
I mean, that says a lot.
So
What would you do?
yeah, that's a good question. So
No,
being chair,
seriously, because you say they're fighting with the other two board members. What does that got to
well,
do
the
with the
reason
price
why
of
I wouldn't,
eggs?
yeah, the reason why I wouldn't do that is because it would actually make me look bad, and it would bring the tension back on me as opposed to the issue.
I mean,
It's not a smart move.
if in
If
fact
that
you
was
think
true,
there's an issue between the
I don't know.
four board members and those two that were not there, that
Yeah.
says a lot. I think what
What?
you're alluding to, those four
No, no,
board
no, no,
members,
no.
something is up with those four board
What? No,
members.
what I'm saying is
Mike,
this doesn't
yeah,
make any sense. I
yeah,
don't see a reason why at the last minute, when you have more than quorum, you would cut it. Something else is going
yeah,
on we may not know about. I don't know what that is, but now it looks like they're hiding something yet again, or they're afraid of the public yet again, and that's not a
yeah.
good look. We don't want that at City Hall either. So we
No,
typically will hold the meeting.
Bill.
So a while back, we ran an article on what Fresno Unified could do with the money that it paid its former communications chief. Person that fabricated quotes, used chat, GBT to fabricate these false quotes and attribute them to FTA President Manuel Bonilla. It was exposed by GV Wire. There had no need to pay off this person. This person resigned. This person was an at-will employee. We ran an article about what they could do with that money and what impact it would have on the classroom. Here's another example. The district will not tell us exactly how much this canceled meeting cost. Administrators, yeah, they have to work regardless, right? But the district admits that there was staff that was paid overtime to prep for this, as well as meals made to serve people. I don't know if it was on overtime or during the meeting, whatever. But I would say conservatively, it's $10,000 to $20,000 in the least. That's another $10,000 to $20,000 not going to the classroom. Manuel Bonilla made a great point in his quote. He said, "This is not a private company." There it is. This is not their private company. It's the public's time and resources. Our elected leaders must be reminded that they are accountable to the public. The other point is this workshop was scheduled based on a recommendation from the Fresno County Grand Jury, the civil grand jury, which said it's obvious that members of the Board of Trustees do not know the Brown Act, and they need to get a tune-up on it. Do they need a workshop? Everybody can go online and take it. That's the way we do things in this world. And I will note that Andy Levine voted against canceling the meeting. It was 4-1. There was another person, and Andy said very clearly, hey, the people that aren't here can take it online.
Um,
Let's go ahead with this meeting. We've scheduled it. We brought everybody here. Let's go ahead and do it. And didn't
Okay.
happen. So Darius, just another example of this
Yeah.
board not ready for prime time.
No, I agree with you. Before I get to Mike, we're gonna play the video. Let's get our team enough notice to play that video. By the way, there's a lot of comments on Facebook, and there's some. Let me just say this to the audience: if you want to put up a nasty, aggressive this is my show, GB Wire Show. You don't need to watch it. We're gonna run it the way we run it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to watch it. And if you get nasty and ugly and use foul language, we're gonna kick you off. Very simple. It's my show. You don't have to be on the show, and you're not going to come in here and do goofy things. So I'm not going to use Nick Richardson's words yet. We're going to get to that here in a minute. So you want to be professional and disagree professionally and have good public discourse, you're more than welcome to. We look at we welcome both sides of the equation, but put together your own program. If you don't like it, go start your own podcast. Okay, let's put on that video.
There's going to be a vote, I imagine, but I would just say my 2 cents would be I won't be in support of rescheduling. I definitely want to make sure we accommodate and catch up our colleagues who can't be with us today.
I know this being such an important topic and a couple of trustees that aren't able to be here with us today, I'd like to for us to consider moving and rescheduling this workshop to a time when all 7 of us can participate, given this being, again, such an important topic and the need for, I think, all of us to be able to be present.
I appreciate that. Second. I appreciate that. And we also, there's been a motion then to postpone the meeting, this workshop.
Would you like a roll call vote?
Please.
Just so we could hear from superintendent, maybe your staff, of the impact of rescheduling it before you ask us to vote.
I do want to thank staff for making this. This is for all of us to be learning together, and so definitely we can make accommodations. We will have to reschedule and then look at like what's appropriate and when we can do this, and so and then Mark and Twee, their time and the effort that they've put into this training. So board, it's at your discretion on what you would like to do. I know it's very important that all of us are here.
I appreciate that, and we also would also like to invite the rest of our cohort of leadership, our FTA president, although his executive officer, he's here? Oh, wonderful. Okay, wow, you're here, wonderful. I truly thank and apologize to our labor partners that have sacrificed their time and effort to be here tonight, and thank you. And ask you to graciously reschedule with us in the future. That would be a yes? Okay? Yes. Okay, thank you so much. We have a roll call vote, please.
Member Casares?
I'd like for all of us to be present at the same time. So I'd vote to reschedule.
Member Jonathan Rosas?
Aye.
Member Levine?
I'd love for us all to have an opportunity to continue this, but to start this today with who we've got, so I'll be voting no.
Member Thomas?
Aye.
President Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we can take the slide off. I know I saw Mike's reaction. Can I say this? What a lame bunch of votes.
Don't you love politicians say to our labor partners, we love you, but I'm about to screw you over? Don't you love politicians like that? God.
I know, Nick.
You've got elected officials who are willing to come out and meet with you at your house and be outside when it's raining, and it's dark, and it's inconvenient or whatever else. And you've got elected officials who will literally get everyone in the room except for a colleague or two and cancel it and send everyone home and waste their time. There's really a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish they'd be honest. Just say why you canceled the meeting. The excuse is weak. I'm sorry, it's weak. Like if we did, what makes me, and the world of politics is not fair. If we did half the stuff they do at City Hall, there would be grand jury investigations. There would be articles left and right all the time. I don't know why they get away with this stuff. I just don't. It just drives me nuts.
Whatever. Good
I've honestly, I've got to reflect back, and I know I reference like my time on active duty a lot, but I imagine if I were to call a meeting, call a formation of all my Marines, have them all come out at 7 p.m. and all stand around and wait for the commander to get there, and the commander show up and go, you know what, my senior enlisted guy isn't here, so just never mind. Thanks for coming. That wouldn't go over very well.
What a lame move by, I'm going to say it, by the four folks that voted for this thing, which was so motion by Jonathan Rosas, seconded by Keisha Thomas and Casares, and Valerie Davis, who's board president, voted for it as well. Okay, with that, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so okay, Trustee Jonathan Rosas made the motion. She's not the president of the board. She made a fair point. We should have everyone here. The question is, why didn't the other ones say, well, like Levine, well, you know what? They don't have to all be here. They all went along with it. So I'm not gonna, she made a fair point. I don't agree with it personally, but they all went along with it. So I think, what's the president of the board doing? Like,
Good
sorry,
point.
labor groups, but no, like, come on.
The other big
not-
point, the other big point is they all knew that two trustees were not going to be there. They all gave advance notice ahead of time, and yet they still brought everyone together.
You know what? That's a great point Bill McEwen brings in. Thank you for added wisdom, Bill. They knew that ahead of time. Why didn't they cancel the meeting ahead of time so people wouldn't have to show up, get a babysitter, make other arrangements to be there and cost taxpayers money? That's really embarrassing for those four that voted, supported, seconded, and voted for that. I mean,
Darius, the
yeah.
worst thing, I don't want, this isn't the issue we can talk about.
yeah,
Nothing's going to happen. You have a board member who, by the way, has blocked me on Facebook because she can dish it but can't take it, who's literally racist, straight up racist, and we talked about it on this show. Nothing happened. There's no consequences, so nothing's going to happen. At least you're reporting the truth, but it's just, that's the system we're in, and the kids have no hope in a system like that.
you talking about trustee?
Name doesn't matter. Anyway,
Name doesn't matter.
we all know who it was, and it was against Bill. It was just racist. No apology, nothing. And the board members pat each other on the back. I think only one board member came out and said it was wrong. I'm not surprised she did that because she has integrity.
Cam Malloy, it's such a large school district. How do they get away with it? I know my question got lost, but did the school district have consultants on site ready to conduct the training? Cam, from just looking at the video, it looked like everybody that was supposed to be there. Now, I don't know who was a consultant and who wasn't, but just looking at the video that we just showed, by the way, it is on the website, on GVWire's website, along with the article. It showed that everybody that was supposed to be there was there. Bill?
So Darius, the people that were going to conduct the training were the district lawyers. So yes, they were there and ready to go, and they prepped and put this together.
Oh, lawyers, they're not very expensive per hour. Not a big deal. They're cheap. Not a big deal.
Okay, cool. With that, let's go to the next interesting topic. We have a video to show of, it wasn't a council hearing, it was a council press conference. Is that correct? Council member,
Right.
Council President Carbasi and Council Member Richardson. So let's play that video first, and then we're gonna, I think Bill has a couple of questions for Council Member Richardson.
What this order means is that the federal administration is not allowed to impose these grant conditions on the city of Fresno and these other communities.
We were faced with an impossible choice. Either we comply with the orders that probably were unconstitutional and put our staff at serious legal jeopardy, which we can't do as employers, or we decide to send the money back, which is completely irresponsible because we qualified for every single dollar we received. Or we go down the route of litigation, which was not an easy decision. It was not personal. It was simply about making sure that we be able to receive the dollars that Congress appropriated to communities like Fresno.
So some of the requirements was for Fresno to have its police department cooperate with the federal government in terms of immigration enforcement. There was a vague request or requirement to eliminate anything that had anything to do with diversity, equity, or inclusion, which the judge found all three words to be vague and undefined by the Trump administration.
I have a lot of bosses. None of them are in Sacramento. None of them are in D.C. And our messages to both of those higher forms of government who don't understand how Fresno runs and the duty that we have to the people who live here, message is clear. Don't with Fresno.
Okay, Nick. First of all, I've heard you a couple of times saying you have a lot of bosses. So please clarify for the audience who your bosses are, and then I know Bill has a question for you. At least the first question.
Sure. My bosses are the people whose seat I currently occupy. The District 6 City Council seat isn't mine, doesn't belong to City Hall, belongs to the residents of District 6, 80,000 people who live up here in Northeast Fresno, who decided they want to see what I could do up there for 4 years. They're the people I owe. They're the people who are paying for that seat, and their tax money is paying for the improvements in their district and around the city. They deserve results, and they deserve someone who's going to fight for them.
Thank you for that. Bill, you get the first question.
So, well, actually, two-parter. Nick, what's the reaction been? I know at least one website used the actual word in their report, and beyond the reaction, I've seen you talk before. What inspired you to kind of let it all hang out in this situation?
I don't know if there's anything that particularly inspired me to do that. The reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, there were a couple people, I know, David, one of your reporters, didn't like it, which respect it. Okay. And there were some people who were kind of the usual screechers, but overall, honestly, this has been something that folks from both the left, the right, the center, and nowhere on the political spectrum have been reaching out. And it seems to have inadvertently kind of unified people together in the city of Fresno outside of politics.
And when you were running for this job, did you have a grasp on how much funding and then the rules and everything that go with that funding, the conditions? Did you have a handle on how much is involved and how much Fresno has to interact with Sacramento and DC? And I ask because, I hear a lot of Republicans say Jerry Dyer, oh my goodness, he's Newsom's best buddy now. And I always tell him, well, that's his job to be his mayor of Fresno. He wants to get the most he can for the city. Just your read on that as you were running your campaign and you entered City Hall.
Yeah, I was paying very close attention, as I have been for years, to all of the, published articles coming out about City Hall, going to the City Hall meetings, looking at the actual publicly available documents and the agendas and pretty much every form of information I could consume about it. But I will say there's a lot of money that doesn't get a lot of attention and doesn't get talked about a lot, either because it's figured a done deal, a fait accompli, because it's not something that a preponderance of folks are really interested in. Maybe it's something that people find a little boring and don't pay a lot of attention to. But as soon as you slap a name like the mayor or the governor or the president on there, that's when it starts making big news headlines. And those are the things that I think people pay the most attention to.
And then question for both Councilmember Carbasi and Councilmember Richardson. The situation with Measure P money and the funding for nonprofits and the like, a lot of people in Fresno saying there's not enough transparency in the process. Do you envision the city council reviewing how these grants are handed out in the future? Boy, no one is jumping on it.
Well, who do you want to address it first?
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. So I did bring this up during the meeting. We get a moment for council comments. I did bring this up with the administration that I've witnessed some of the comments made by certain groups at the PRAC meeting the week before, about a week ago. And here's the thing. There's always going to be some folks that don't make it out don't make the cut and get upset. I have had reports from other folks that weren't even allowed to apply. There have been questions about open meetings. These are fair questions because we're talking about public tax dollars, sales tax dollars. They deserve an answer. So I think that we're going to get a report from the administration about what they discover. But I also want to see how the PRAC, which is the Citizen Committee to Administer Measure P, excuse me, will respond. And if they don't respond, then I'm sure that some council members will be inclined to do something about it. It's a little bit too early to tell, but I think enough has been said that it should be taken seriously, with the understanding that sometimes it's just sour grapes, but also at the same time, if there's serious inconsistencies, we owe it to the public to get things very clear.
Let's remove the slide first of all. I think we've had it up there. I think. Oh, there we go. Okay.
And Brown Act, right? We have to comply with the law. Those meetings should be open. We're talking about tax dollars. There should be no surprises.
Okay. Mike, any comments on your colleague's comment?
Just in general.
What are you talking about when you say F? What are you talking? Don't fart with Fresno.
That's what he meant. Absolutely.
Okay.
No.
You know, Doris, everybody acts surprised when the Marine talks like a Marine. I don't.
There you go. I agree with you.
Yeah, no. We held the press conference to really bring light of an issue. There's serious federal dollars that were potentially withheld. And here's the thing. Even with the comments on Facebook right now, people going back and forth. I don't know if it's been this way before in American history or not. I mean, after the Charlie Kirk assassination kind of brings things to light, we have these conversations. We all pretend like we hear each other and listen, and we don't. That's a bunch of crap. Like, no one's actually listening to one another. You don't have to agree with someone, but it's always about being on my side or your side. It's very tribal, and we're back to that again. I don't know, Bill. I mean, you've seen a lot.
Let me jump in there. Here's my take on that. Majority of us do pay attention, do listen, do talk, do reach out, do collaborate. You just don't hear about the majority of us. There's a very few people on the fringes that get most of the attention. So the key is going to be for the majority, the silent majority, not to get distracted or sidetracked by this, what I call noise. Typical noise on the fringes that want attention. They are attention seekers. We just got to ignore those folks. Get to the people's work. Do the work of the people. Majority of people are collaborative. Majority of Americans are great human beings. They love our Constitution. They respect our Constitution, and they want our Constitution to be followed. And that's the ultimate check valve for our beautiful country.
Right.
Is that majority. I'm not going to get sidetracked by folks on the far left and the far right. And I'm not, and honestly, policymakers shouldn't be either. Don't get influenced by one or two or three people that are just want attention, that are attention seekers. Those folks have probably other issues. We want to concentrate on the majority of Americans who understand the issues, are good people. They go, hey, I want my problem solved by my government, state,
Yes.
local, federal. I want to solve my problems. Take care of make sure I got a good job, safe roads, safe community. My kids can go get a good education. I pay a lot of taxes, federal, state, and local. Make sure the government is doing its job appropriately. And you know what? I come from a country that had a dictatorial rule. For the first 18 years of my life, I lived in that country. And I've seen in this country over the last, gosh, how many years have I been here? A lot of years, over 45 years or 46 years. The pendulum swings in these United States, but not as far as it does in some of the other countries. Hey, occasionally they get overthrown, right? Government changes, goes from a democracy to a dictatorship to a fascist state. It's up to us, majority of Americans, to make sure that never, ever happens in our country. And we're a bunch of smart, educated, hardworking taxpayers. What concerns me, by the way, the only thing that concerns me long term is the influence of AI and robotics. I can see 5 years from now, all this manufacturing buzz, we're going to near shore or onshore manufacturing, all going to be run by robots, folks. And AI is going to replace so many of us. So are we actually needed to produce income and taxes for government? That's above my pay grade. Nick had a question, and then we're going to go to Mike. Nick?
No, you can go to Mike.
Mike, let's go to Mike.
Just to your point, Darius, and I want to go back to the issue.
Okay.
Look, I know what you're saying, that there's a silent majority. The problem is you have legitimately elected politicians that are giving so much oxygen and retweeting and elevating the opinion that's based on hate and bad information on both sides, by the way. They are really loving the tribalism. You think they really want to solve immigration, the problems? No. And I don't blame one side or the other. The system doesn't want it. They've had so many opportunities. They're not going to do it. They're not. Yeah. I don't know how you have a culling and get rid of this generation of politician. I don't know how you do it. Maybe it's they can't invest in the stock market anymore. They you take away the money. I don't know. But people are getting fed and fat off the system in Congress. They don't want to change it. Why? They're getting paid. It's terrible. And we're suffering. People like Som, our good name as America, is suffering. But I want to go back to the main issue that we were talking about, unless Councilman Richardson has a comment on this.
No, go ahead, Mike.
All right. So when I talked about the reason why I brought this up, people not listening to each other, there were people making comments on the press conference and making it, well, you hate the president, or you feel this way, or don't feel this way, or yeah, way to go. I want to be very, very clear. This was never about President Trump. This may have been about the presidency and Congress. But as I said in the press conference, if Barack Obama issued these executive orders, I would have voted to sue the federal government. Because this is really about our Constitution and separation of powers. Congress said, this is a bill, we're going to pass it. Republicans and Democrats voted for it, and a different president signed it. We qualified for that money. Using those funds, like our airport, for example, we've entered into contracts, creating local jobs. Now there's a new president elected. No one's debating he was elected. He's the president. But instead of going to Congress and saying, pass a new law, he's saying, I'm issuing a unilateral order, adding conditions that were never a part of it, that are very vague, mind you. And if they don't do this, we're taking the money back. We said, well, you can't do that. It's against the Constitution. For example, the issue of DEI. I don't want to get in a debate about DEI. The problem is when you say no DEI language, what does that mean? There was no clear definition. So we may have a housing program that benefits people that are unhoused that happen to be a part of a certain population. They are protected through the Civil Rights Act of 1965 or any other piece of legislation that Congress passed over the last 50 to 60 years. We can't violate federal law. We can't violate state law. And that's the position we were put in. There were no specifics. That's why when you do these things, there's a process where you go through the Congress and then the presidency. It may sound tedious, but there's a reason why we don't have the ability for a king. I'm not trying to, I want to be very clear. This was never about one president. So we didn't have a choice. I laid out the options we had. We sued, and I'm not surprised we won, and I believe we'll win the appeal as well. Because when it comes to the government, the president can't just unilaterally say, I'm going to reinterpret what Congress did and change the rules. It's
to Mike's point,
ahead, yeah.
I mean, since the very founding of the nation, this has never been a country of men. It's a country of laws. That's specifically what the founders put in there. And, you get folks kind of on both sides, but really out to the extremes who are upset by it. Everyone in the middle is pretty understanding. And the folks out to the extremes say, well, you should have done everything they asked. Well, to the council president's point, one, it was vague. And when we as a city council asked, hey, listen, you said, don't be a sanctuary. Can you explain that? Because we are very specifically not a sanctuary city. We don't kick out federal officers who are trying to enforce immigration, things like that. So that's our definition. You must mean something else. Can you answer? Crickets. We didn't get answers. We didn't get guidance. We didn't get clarity. We've got all these summaries right here, and we've got the actual text of the order that, one, it wasn't clear. Two, call it what it is. It was illegal. We were told to do something illegal. I'm not here, again, as a nation of laws. I'm not here in this position to break federal law. I'm not here to break state law. When I'm told to do something and to make a vote that breaks state law and breaks federal law and is in direct violation of the Constitution, and the Constitution means a lot to the military. We swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution. I don't know, I mean, as a Republican myself, I don't know much that's more conservative than I like good, strong laws. I like good, strong Constitution, and I like big government to stay out of my business. And I like keeping cops on the street. So the fact that we get to keep all of our emergency responders and all of our transportation funded by just following the law and not breaking it, that was a very easy one. Now, I am not here to do all of the high-level constitutional interpretation, and the city council isn't either. We have a whole branch of government for that. So we decided to go to the courts and say, hey, courts, we think this is against the law. Can you interpret this for us? And lo and behold, we weren't wrong. It was against the law, which is why it was overturned. It's very, very basic. So the folks who are really upset about it, and they say, well, you should have done this, should have done that. Okay, well, can we start with just following the law? And once we've done that, then you can have your opinions and you can scream about how you don't like my mustache or whatever else.
You shaved your mustache last week.
It fell off.
It fell off. Okay, got it. That was pretty cool. Look, I didn't know, I hadn't seen you in a few months. I thought, gosh, that grew pretty fast. Okay. Good job, Mike and Nick. Last comment from Cam Malloy. There's just too many comments to read, but we're gonna wrap up this show. We have a couple of minutes left. Closing comments. Let's start there. Council President, you want to go first, or Bill McEwen?
I give my time to Mike.
Okay, Mike. Mike, you're on mute.
Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, Darius. Thank you so much, and to Bill, and thank you to Councilmember Richardson for coming on. We are never afraid to answer questions and go into depth about the decisions we make at City Hall. It's like Councilmember Richardson said, we have bosses. These are the public. They're taxpayers. They're voters. They pay us, and we serve them, and we will always do that. Really important issue. Just to reiterate, wasn't an easy decision. It was the right decision. I believe the courts have sided with us, and they'll continue doing that. We have a responsibility to protect our tax dollars. Let's not forget, we pay taxes locally. We send it to the federal government, and they're giving us our money back, but it is our money, and we invest it very wisely. And this is a city that always passes balanced budgets. Let's not forget that. So we're very, very careful with public funds as much as we can be. And so thank you, Darius, for taking the time to actually talk about a very important issue.
Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Nick and then followed by Bill, and I'll wrap up. Council Member Richardson from Northeast Fresno with 80,000 bosses.
That's right.
I love that, by the way. I love that. Keep going, Nick.
Well, we'll do. For the people, by the people, I'm a big fan of any governance that has to be done is done at the lowest possible level. So here at the lowest possible level in Fresno, that's our job to look out and be the voice of those people, not the higher forms of government. That's not what it is. If anybody didn't like the language that I used, hey, I understand. It was bombastic, made a point, probably caught some people off guard. I wouldn't say it in front of my grandma. I'll go do some push-ups for that. But the point stands. And whoever's been coming by my office dropping off hats and T-shirts saying, don't you know what with Fresno, I appreciate the sentiment. I have enough. So we're going to continue. I mean, the council president talked about it, and I'm in an interesting spot here as the one on a 1-6 city council, but times where it's very easy for both sides to come together and agree on something is when a different form of government tries to break the law and take advantage of Fresno. Now, all the folks on the screaming in the comments and this and that may be upset about it. Watch in a few months, if the governor tries to do something similar, we're going to have the exact same stance, and we're going to continue standing up for this city who we work for, who put us in these positions of responsibility.
Okay. Thank you, Nick, for that. Bill?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what was just said. It always drives me crazy when the assembly member or the state senator or the congressman sends out a news release that says, I delivered this funding for my district. It's the taxpayers' money. It's our money. We're supposed to pat you on the back and throw a parade because we're getting some of our money back. Now, as far as information goes, yeah, it's nice to put that out so the people know. It's my problem is always with the tone of those news releases, way too self-congratulatory. They should start with, thanks to the taxpayers of District 16 in the great state of California, I'm pleased to announce today that these projects are coming to our district. And no one's going to hire me as a political consultant. I'll get off my soapbox.
That's not true, Bill. But you have a lot of wisdom, and you have an incredible history on how things were put together, and at least in our city and in our county. Let me say this. Yes, there's a lot. We send a lot more money, California does, to DC than we get back. And it's our money that goes there. What do they do with it? I mean, the question we should ask, how is our money spent at a state level and at a federal level? One of the conversations Mike Carbasi and I have had, SB1, the tax, the transportation tax or gas tax that we ship to the state to be used for road repair. It's not new roads, it's not freeways, because in California, capacity enhancement is like a 4-letter word. Okay, I get that. But I don't agree with that, by the way. But the pothole repair, then road repair, where can we get accounting for that? State governments are notorious for borrowing the money and using it for someplace else. And then when we go to come to for road repair or pothole repairs, then there's not enough dollars to pay back. Okay, let me kind of wrap things up quickly. Our Constitution, with all of its amendments, is what makes this country so beautiful. And we have to stand up and protect our Constitution and all of its amendments. I'm a very big Second Amendment guy because I can tell you, if Iranians, country I grew up, could carry weapons, that government in Iran, which majority of people despise and dislike, as Iranians would not be in power. So we got to make sure we're protecting freedom of speech, Second Amendment, all the way through all the amendments. So I'm not familiar with all of them, but freedom to congregate and speak our mind is a very powerful part of an amendment to our Constitution that I take very seriously, and I know most Americans, if not all Americans, take very seriously. Something you don't experience in communist Russia or I'm sorry, communist China or the Republic or whatever it's called of Russia. Speak against Putin, you may disappear. And lastly, I don't have time to we should ignore the people that incite hate speech or provoke. We have some serious issues to deal with. We have some beautiful opportunities in front of us in our country. We got to deal with a rising, incredible China as a superpower just to our west that could be swallowing Taiwan. And I don't know what's going to happen with that. China is spending. They don't deal with political issues. They just go spend money and on whatever it is they want, EVs, new technologies, whatever it is. And that's something we need to be concerned about. Of course, their AI drive is almost second to none. Well, maybe to our country. So we got issues to deal with. We got to spend our resources and our energy on those priorities and not get concerned about the buzz and on the fringes. Let the fringes do their thing. Silent majority, 70, 80, 90% of Americans go, here's our issues, here's the opportunity. We don't want to fall behind as a country. We don't want to become a second tier to China and whatever other emerging superpowers. We talked about this on this show several times. Watch, folks, watch the dollar dominance There's countries that have been trying to remove the dollar as the international currency. And if that does happen, there's a lot of trouble for us and our economy. So there's a lot of beautiful things with our country. Pendulum does swing. We just got to make sure it swings within this range that we as Americans can tolerate. And first and foremost, we have to protect the Constitution of these beautiful United States. And with that, I want to thank Council President Krabasi, Council Member Nick Richardson, and my other co-host, Bill McEwen. Have a great week. Weather is going to be fantastic. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and hope to see all of you next Tuesday. Good night.